hopefully we'll find something. Oh, there's a clash of heads there.
Nathan Thompson's down. Obviously they're going to have to stem any bleeding, won't they, before he's allowed to carry on. The referee's telling Northampton to kick it back to the goalkeeper.
Just never bounce up.
Was it an injury that could have been avoided one way or another?
Jon-Joe O'Toole. Oh, God. And that's now Rose is hurt.
That's maybe why we don't do him anymore.
And I just hope Danny's okay.
Being lifted off the pitch on the shoulders of two of the medical staff, and not able to put his left foot onto the ground, Danny Rose.
Oh mate, you okay? How you doing? Great to meet you. Nice to meet you. Yeah. Oh mate, you okay? Alex, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Alright John. Where'd you want, mate?
Well, Danny, it's a cruel old game, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, in terms of injuries, you know, we all know it's part and parcel of the game, and it's something you have to overcome, deal with, and that's why, you know, the teams in all these leagues now, you know, have as big a squad as they do, because, you know, they have to deal with these over the course of the season, and you know, I'm just, you know, one of a number that we have at the moment, and you know, hopefully, I think we've got the, you know, the squad to deal with the injuries that we've got at the moment, and we can, you know, keep going as we are.
But thinking about yourself, yeah, you had the lows at the start of the season where you weren't getting in the team and the future didn't look very good. You get back in the team and everyone's giving rave reviews about you, and then this.
It just shows you again how things, you know, can change so quickly in football, in terms of certainly like with the emotional side of the game for a player personally. Like you said, playing and then coming out of the team and having to deal with that. Then the sort of joy of, you know, playing games and the team winning lots of games, going on a really good run, and then, albeit yes, the team will carry on a good run hopefully, and that's obviously what we ultimately want. But then for a player personally to come out of that and obviously have to deal with an injury, yeah, that can be or is difficult to deal with, because there's obviously an element of uncertainty for me personally, where, you know, hopefully I'll recover, and I'm pretty confident that I'll recover fully from the injury, but there's the frustration of going from enjoying playing so much to not playing at all, and then there's nothing you can do about it.
You're probably just talking sort of like 2-3 degrees. Yeah, if you can get that day by day, even worse than it is.
No, they're too tight, and also he managed to keep the majority of the muscles. So.
It's always easy to look back in hindsight, but was it an injury that could have been avoided one way or another?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was a drop ball. You know, something had to be done because Tomo had gone down with a head injury, so the referee stopped the game, and I think he, you know, genuinely wasn't too sure which team had the ball. I think we did have the ball at the time, so I think we could have, or any player at one point could have just said, look, we'll kick it back to you. But I think in the heat of the moment, you know, we were pretty adamant that we wanted the ball kicked back to us, and they were adamant they wanted it back to them. So it got to the point where, you know, something had to be done. And I think between myself and Jon-Joe, we were like, okay, let's contest it. And then in the heat of battle, you just want to, you know, take that mini challenge on in the game, because even if you know, come out on top in those little duels, you know, it can have an effect on the game. And but looking back now, like I said, in hindsight, I should have just kicked it back to him and just got on with the game and avoided that whole scenario, or, you know, even contest a drop ball but let him kick it, and then you avoid that whole sort of scenario, because when you break down a drop ball, that scenario and that situation, it's almost a free hit where you can almost kick a player even though you're going for the ball, but without any real consequence, because a player could, say, show his studs in that kind of situation and, let's say, still get away with it. Not saying that Jon-Joe did that.
No.
I think it was just a case of, because he actually won the drop ball, he kicked the ball first and I followed through, obviously trying to win the ball, and caught my sort of inside of my shin on the bottom of his boot. Me and him have spoke. When we played together, we won the league together, and you know, I reassured him, like, not to, you know, don't feel too like bad about it, because I knew that he wasn't feeling. He was feeling, you know, down about obviously what had happened, and you know, I reassured him that there were no hard feelings, and you know, he was happy, because I know he was in quite a bad way, you know, after the game, and he wanted to speak to me, but I'd already gone by half-time.
It was in a real harmless part of the pitch, if you like, so as you say, it would have probably been better all round if it had just somebody had the ball and kicked it back.
Yeah, so it was in the middle of the pitch. It was in a position where there's no danger to no team. I look back and think now, maybe the referee could have just made a decision and said, look, you kick it back. They had the ball, but if he wasn't sure, then he's not sure. And obviously between the players, then you have to resolve the situation. And no team said like, we'll kick it back to you. So we contested it, and then obviously I got caught and fracture in the tibia.
Does a player know the instant it happens that it's a bad one?
I can't say for other people that have suffered a similar injury. I knew it was a heavy impact at the time. I was quite, optimistic that it was just a whack and it would maybe just be severe bone bruising, because there was no, initial signs that there was a fracture in the bone when the physios were rubbing their sort of fingers over it to try and feel for a break. But certainly when I was, on the pitch at that time, it's a lot of pain. It was a lot of pain. I think, the fans and people in the stadium would have heard me sort of scream out loud because it was that painful. And I wasn't sure. I knew it was bad. I knew I had to come. I was coming off and I wasn't carrying on playing. But having not suffered anything like that before in my career, I was still quite optimistic that it wouldn't been as sort of serious as it was.
Is it the worst one that you've had in your career?
Yeah, I've been really lucky over the course of my career to not suffer anything serious. I don't think I've really been out for longer than a couple of weeks with a couple of impact injuries, maybe a dead leg or a bang, like say on the knee or something. So this is the longest year that I've been out, and something that I've mentally, physically, I think I'll be fine in terms of the recovery. Yeah, it'll take a little bit of time, but dealing with the mental and the emotional side of it is almost just as demanding as the physical demands that it's going to take as well.
However much we dwell in the past, we can't. So what is the future timetable?
I think we've pretty much said that that'll be the season is sort of finished for me, which was first of all quite difficult to deal with and to accept. But having done that now, I can fully concentrate on the rehab process, and without really putting any time scale. I've not really set any targets in terms of getting back, but there's like 8 months until the start of next season, so that gives me plenty of time to make sure that I'm 100% and fully recovered in time for the start of next season. So around the summertime, around pre-season time, if I'm in and around the group training around about those times, I'll be happy.
Were you heartened by the response you got from fans and everybody alike?
Yeah, very, very humbled indeed. The amount of messages, like say on social media, was overwhelming. Straight after the game, and even so now, I'm still get messages. People wishing me like well and a speedy recovery still, and it's nice that people are I'm still in people's thoughts, because obviously at the moment I'm no use to nobody at the moment in terms of playing, and that's okay. But it's nice to know that people, and in particular the Portsmouth fans, are wishing me and thinking that I'll be back as soon as possible.
Do your family not see more of you now?
They do indeed, yeah. My wife has been she's been exceptional the last week or so since the operation, and it's been certainly a lot of hard work for her. She's doing almost everything for me, and the kids as well. It's difficult for them to understand, I think, why Daddy's home every day just sat on the sofa. So yeah, I think they're enjoying it for a little while, but I'm sure they'll be sick of the sight of me soon, and hopefully I'll be coming in a lot more regular in terms of the training ground. At the moment it's just a couple of times a week in terms of what I'm doing with rehab, but as soon as I'm on my feet a lot more and can do a lot more cardiovascular work, then I'll be coming in every day and building back up the fitness.
Is it actual compensation, or are you actually gutted that this all happened when you were on a high? Because at least you've left temporarily on a high.
Yeah, I see what you mean in terms of coming out of the team and having played, you know, quite a lot of games in a row, and the run that we were on. But I think even, you know, no one wants to be injured. Even if, you know, things weren't going right, you still want to be out on the pitch. I guess if you put it in that sort of perspective, if you're gonna be out injured for a lengthy spell, it's perhaps better to be off the back of playing, you know, relatively okay, and then the team being on the back of a good run, I guess.
Well, it could have happened in a checker-trade game where you were trying to force your way back into the first league.
Yeah.
You had forced your way back in.
Yeah, so I'll say when you put it into that perspective, yeah, it could have been, for example, the first game I had back in the team away at Charlton on that Tuesday night, and, you know, then in terms of my stance in the team, then yeah, you're not in a good place then. But having played the amount of games that I did, and the run that we were on, yeah, you could say it was a better time to get injured, but there obviously is no good time. But when you put it in that perspective, perhaps it's better off the back of that kind of run.
Such a shame that it happens to the nice blokes in the game, but we do wish you all the best in the future, and we'll really be looking out for you.
Thank you.